Welcome to day 14. Today is the fear of being seen. I know that this one might be a big one for a lot of people. So we're just going to take a breath, okay? Bringing maybe a hand to your heart and then one over to your belly. Take a deep belly breath. Inhale. And exhale. You're here. You're present. You're here in this beautiful body. Why are we scared of being seen? First of all, your art or your medium is your expression. Your art is you. There's no disconnect between you and then your art. It's something that you created, you expressed. And so oftentimes, if we've ever experienced not being safely held, and when we expressed, I'm even going to say, or even delighted in our expression. Sometimes we close ourselves and we hold back. At some point in our life, we were told that our expression was either too much, not enough, somehow disproved, or that pure expression, even of your pure joy in your play, was stifled. Your art is your pure energy, your pure frequency. There's no one else like you. No one else can speak the same words, can and have them land the same way as someone that's saying the same thing. That even someone that experienced the same thing, they hold a different frequency. I talked a little bit yesterday about my story of when I put my art out in the world for the first time. For me personally, that made me physically sick. And I think it was for a lot of different things. A lot of my upbringing, I mentioned this before, was my art was something I did in the quiet. It was something that helped me to regulate my emotions because my parents were not there for me emotionally. They weren't even fully grounded in themselves emotionally. And therefore, this was something, my art, my expression was something that was so close to me that I didn't share with very many people. And it was a really big deal if I ever did. And so for my son to help me put my stuff out there, I experienced the fear of rejection. I experienced full-on nervous system crippling fear. Because that fear of rejection is connected to wanting to belong. And that is deeply rooted in our survival being, in our primal self. Because our very first ancestors that walked this planet, and the DNA that we still share, is literally based on the tribe mentality of being able to belong. Because if you went away from the tribe, you probably wouldn't survive on your own. And so that is a huge thing to move through, be aware of, to be conscious of when you're expanding and sharing more of yourself. Truthfully, belongingness, wasn't expecting to say this, but belongingness and wanting to belong actually can stifle authenticity, can stifle who you're truly meant to be and show up as. Because if we want to water ourselves down to be able to match other people's frequencies in order for them to accept us, that's not living in our truth. And so I want to name this because these aren't just limiting beliefs. These are really ingrained in us, deep in our core, deep in our DNA. And what's really powerful, though, of this conscious work that we're doing and that you're already doing and that you probably already have been doing and shedding these layers and layers and layers of who you're not truly for years now, is that you're tapping back into who you truly are. But we're also bringing our bodies with us. And in so many ways, we are rewriting a new DNA and path for ourselves and our ancestors. I was not expecting to say all that today, actually. That was not in my notes. We will talk more about ancestors in a couple weeks. I have something planned for that. So we did talk before that creativity is also inherently playful. It's our joy. And so in the past, if we've ever been in that pure joy and maybe a parent, had a reaction or shut it down of that expression of joy or play, maybe they also, like, whatever that situation was, or maybe it was multiple situations. I'm getting this thought, or I'm being called to share, like, especially people that are neurodivergent, that might have a lot of information at once, that are really tuned into a lot of different things at once. They are receiving so much information, like myself. I was considered too sensitive by my entire family, and also too much, because my sensitivity would sometimes just erupt into a meltdown, and that was too much for my family to handle. I still get grief about it, so I've had to set boundaries. What I want to first and foremost say and talk to your soul: you're not too much. And you are enough. So a little thread more on our ancestors is if they've experienced themselves where they've turned off their own emotions. Maybe they weren't taught to be able to express their emotions. Maybe, like, also in our society, like, what's beautiful is there's more and more spaces where it is safer, and getting professional help and therapy, and these spiritual spaces are becoming more accessible, for being able to experience and feel your emotions. But in many circumstances, a lot of our parents in the generations before may have never experienced a safe outlet where they could express themselves. And the backs that we stand on with our ancestors of how much they've gone through, quite literally, in this world, it can be a heavy burden, truly. And for us now, at this time, in this lifetime, to have this awareness, to have, I'm going to use the word privilege, even though I really want to honor that there are absolutely oppressive systems that, are absolutely in existence, and that can really restrict someone's beginning of their life and their limitations into their lives, and creating actual challenges and obstacles. So I want to name that first. And we do have the privilege as a sovereign being in this lifetime, with this conscious awareness. If you're here and now, I know that you've already been doing this work. To be able to choose a new path. And I'm feeling it so viscerally in my own solar plexus of the collective that I'm speaking to. some days it can feel like a curse. Some days it can feel just so overwhelming. But also some days it can feel truly powerful as you are tapping back into your power. And as you are claiming and choosing a new direction for you and the future ancestors and generations. So I want to name also that if this is resonating with you, if we've really felt deprived as children in our play or even emotionally, this can bring up deep feelings, of grief, of sadness, of longing, of belonging. Also anger and rage. All of that is valid, and all of that, is welcome to be expressed. And next week, we're even going to be holding space for somatic movement and breath work. And that's a great opportunity to bring everything that's been coming through this week into that space so that we can work with our soma, our body, so that we can shake, we can scream, and we can rage, and we can dance, and we can breathe the medicine of the life force of the breath and clear and take up space. So I truly invite you to not miss that. In later videos, we'll also talk more about pleasure and play and joy and tuning back in and dialing back in. But I also want to name too that as we are choosing this new direction and creating this new path, and as we are tuning in and aligning with our highest selves, and we may feel it, we may sense it, we know it, and it's in our heart space, the more that we can tune back into that first and foremost, and to offer check-ins with ourselves. Am I in alignment? Tuning back in. That will help us continue to live from this place of alignment, of sovereignty, and of creating this new direction that our soul is guiding us. And we also want to honor the nervous system. Day 8, we talked about that. If you're feeling fight or flight, if you're feeling anxious, or even flop or freeze, what that means, like all of those are part of a dysregulated nervous system. So if you want to flop and just take a nap, that's a part of it. If you just freeze and you get into paralysis, oh my God, I have that so often. That's a part of it. Those are all signs where we can tap back in, talk to our body, remind our body, you are safe. You are safe. We are not in danger. We are just expanding. There is no danger here. I am expanding. And there's other nervous system tools in there too to work with in that moment. We want to signal safety in our bodies. And so back on this fear of being seen, okay? I want to name also that there are different levels of readiness. You've committed to this program. Many of you committed to being a part of a community space, sharing your intentions, being witnessed, being on a live call, being witnessed. You're being seen in so many beautiful ways. When you take your samples and you go out into nature, or if you're getting on a video and you're posting it on YouTube, in so many ways, you're already allowing yourself to be seen. And that is incredible. And I commend you for that. And in what ways can you cultivate and continue to signal safety and being able to go deeper with the people in your life, or this community space for this program, or someone, a close friend, or even a small group, that you can share your expression with. Because when you cultivate that safety first within yourself, and then as you start to share it a little bit more externally with people that are truly going to be safe to share it with, that energy can continue to cultivate as you continue to ground into yourself. And as this energy is able to make roots. I like to think I have a painting actually about this, and it's called Tending to the Vulnerable Within. And it's this woman that's holding a little sprout. And the little sprout is symbolic of that part of us that's really vulnerable. And that has this like new intention that wants to come into the world. But it's really important to nurture that little sprout and to give it love and to just keep pouring into it as it comes into fruition. And one day it will have its roots. And one day it will be a tree. And one day it will branch out and shine up towards the sun and be fully seen. I want to name that it's completely okay. That you're not just jumping out there and be like, hey, world, this is what I do. It might take time. For me, it took years. And I hope it doesn't take as long as that, especially since you're here on an Unleash Your Creative. So today's task and invitation is, in what ways can you be witnessed and seen today? Maybe it's dropping a mini video or even an image of you in your medium with the community. Or maybe it's sharing your medium with someone else, just a tidbit, however much you want, or giving an offering to someone. So that is what I have for you today. If anything is coming up, if anything is stirring, I hope that you feel called to either reach out to me personally or our community space to again be witnessed and to move through whatever is coming up and supported. I will see you tomorrow.